Hello, welcome to another Weekly Sizzle. Once again, you are graced by Eric and Nick.
Good morning.
We have a lot to talk about this week, starting with pizza. Pizza, once again, has been shown to be outperforming other restaurant segments. Nick, why is pizza still just the reigning champ of food?
Yeah, so a few months ago, I wrote a column about innovation, that all these new brands are popping up onto the scene, trying to come up with the next big idea. But the reality is, things that work continue to work, and pizza is in that category. I believe that pizza still works because the consumer is all about themselves today.
Yeah.
Even more so that with technology in our hands, we can do whatever we want and get whatever piece of information we want whenever we want it. Pizza's the same way, that it's not Domino's dictating what kind of pizza I'm eating. It's me. I'm going to tell Domino's what kind of toppings I want on it. And that is still why pizza is exploding. Now there's other categories of pizza that continue to climb up, like the fast casuals, the down the lines. But I think because it's always worked, it continues to work, and new brands, like emerging brands like Topper's Pizza, can pop into the scene and still be very, very successful, shows that the segment is alive and well.
Do you think that, obviously customer choice is huge. You can put it as many toppings, there's little toppings, anchovies if you're crazy, whatever you want on your pizza. Do you think convenience plays a role too? The fact that it feels like pizza chains are always the first to innovate when it comes to customer ordering convenience. Like the fact that Domino's, you mentioned, I don't have to speak to anyone. I can just go on my computer, type in the kind of pizza I want, and then they'll have some cartoon come up and say, your pizza is being made and so is going to deliver it. I don't even have to get on the phone. Do you think that's like part of the reason people...
Isn't that cartoon always an old man though?
You can change it. Mine always is an old man, and I find it comforting.
Well, maybe that's why you're ordering online. No, it's kind of scary though, because technology is replacing jobs. So as long as those that are entering the workforce are getting in front of technology, then that's going to be fine. Or those that are entering the workforce are looking to franchising as an option. But yeah, convenience is big right now. You look at what the frozen yogurt brands have done. They made self-serve, that if I want 10 scoops of ice cream, I get 10 scoops of ice cream. If I want 5 cherries, you're not going to stop me, but I'm going to pay for what I want at the end.
True.
Domino's has own customization and convenience that I click online or on my phone, I just go dink. And now they even have it that you just go online and it says you want the same order as you did last time.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's getting faster and faster and faster. So that whole concept of 30 minutes or less is now still alive and well. And it's getting brought to the real world or today's world with technology. And I think as long as, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, as long as innovation continues to revolve around things that already work, it wins. When you hear about a new business that picks up dog poop in a backyard, I don't know that that's the innovation that's going to drive millions of dollars in revenue.
You never know, but I hear you.
If I were starting a new franchise today, I would look at the categories that are producing the best right now and try to do a little bit similar to it. I think that's how you can win. It was in the fitness arena, and we're seeing this again with the 24/7 fitness brands. But I worked with a brand about 10 years ago called Liberty Fitness. They were the next innovation of Curves. Curves came in and owned the women's workout world. That all it was a slight variation on what was already being done. So pizza will continue to win so long as it's slight innovations on what has already worked in the past.
Okay. Another big thing in the news right now is the fact that major franchise companies are once again turning to franchising to sort of help their bottom lines. We've got McDonald's, Wendy's, both announcing that they're going to be selling hundreds of corporate-owned stores and refranchising them. What do you think about that?
So if I were going to become a franchisee, I would want to go into business ownership of owning a second generation business. That's me as the investor, Nick Powills. Many people go towards buying a first unit or being the first to open up that unit, but then the cost is heavy and the production is questionable. You don't know how it's going to produce from a unit standpoint. The multi-unit operators have always been ones that say, I want to buy under performing stores and now put my processes in place. The reality is a corporate store should be the top stores in the system because those have to follow the model. There's no entrepreneurial spirit because the employees are following exactly the way that it was set up to perform. So I love the concept, and frankly, if McDonald's says, here's this box that we've already worked to build up, do you want to take it over? Yes, but my advice to any brand that's looking at refranchising is do it in packages of 3 or more so that you're encouraging the next wave of the multi-unit operator.
That makes sense, and that kind of leads into the next topic, which is, wouldn't it be amazing if, as a franchise developer, you could always sell in packages of 3 or more? Obviously, it's never quite that easy. Your column this week was about the hurdles that franchise development professionals have to overcome. If you had one piece of advice, one nugget that you could boil down right now to all franchise developers to help them sell, what would it be?
Well, before I get to that piece of advice, I think part of the column was, do people in franchise development really care? So the guy that's been in the job for 2 years and hasn't performed at the CEO's expectation, do they care, or they're being lazy? I think before we even get into what is that magic recipe for success, the answer is, yeah, they do care. But the challenge in franchise development right now is, I have some money to spend, I just don't know where to put it. Help me understand where to put that money to use in the best way. And it shifts every single day. 5 years ago, it could have been Sirius XM because it was innovative. It was putting messaging in the car. Now it got clouded with franchise brands. 5 years before that, it could have been the airline trades. Now they're getting clouded with franchise brands. You want to go to the places where you're not fighting against so much competition. Yeah. Now, getting back to the point of, do they care? Yeah, they care. They don't have the money to spend. So they don't know where to spend the money. So the CEO's expectations are wacky right now. And I'll go ahead and raise my hand in that. That's part of being in charge, is you want to set the lofty goal. Yeah. But to get to that point, you have to think creatively to win that challenge. And for franchise development folks, they're going to lean on portals, they're going to lean on brokers, because that's what's worked for the last 10 years. They're not being innovative in the category. Talk with your franchisees. This is the nugget. If you have franchisees, talk with them and say, how do you think we're positioning this? Would you buy this brand based on the way that we're selling it to you? Where do you read? What do you read? Where do you pick up media? Where do you consume media? The reality is, there's data that will point you towards a direction of how can I best spend this money and be set up for success. Yeah. The reality is, we're not asking the right questions to try to get that data and capture it and then put a plan in place. So franchise development people care deeply. They're always looking for the silver bullet. It doesn't exist. It's always going to be a little bit of everything. But before you even do any of that, advice number one, which you're going to see this as a reader next month, or over the next month, we're putting together a website awards.
That's right.
And the reality is, you start with your website. Because even when we got matched up together, you're going to go to No Limit's website as the first place. Anybody who's worked here is going to go to No Limit's site to see what is our brand. You have to use that as your number one sales tool before you even have a franchise sales guy. That website is vital.
I mean, the website is the welcome mat, right? You're coming up to a home, to a business, whatever. It's the thing that's greeting you. And if it's grimy, if it's old, if it's out of touch, not that welcome mats can really be in touch, but for the purposes of this metaphor, it automatically sort of poisons the relationship before it even has a chance to start. Your website is your calling card, and if you don't know where to spend the money, I'd say that's a great first place to start.
Since you've been working at 1851, what have you seen as the best way to get information out there?
As far as just on the website?
Yeah, or for if you were looking at franchise development, because you're not, from the time that you've been involved in the franchising world, you're more, you're not in, you're still the outsider because you're building up your knowledge base. What would you do if you had to find a franchisee?
Man, honestly, I would, obviously you want it to look great, you want the site to look great, you want your development site to be easy to use. I think ease of use is the most important thing. I think especially for younger consumers, if you're trying to appeal to younger franchisees, they don't have the time. You know, if they get on your site and they're not finding the information they need within 10 seconds, they're frustrated and they're moving along. And 10 seconds doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're on the internet and everything else is instant, 10 seconds can feel like an eternity.
All right, so I did not pay Eric for that answer. I did not
yet.
convince him, not yet. But the point is, here's another valuable point for our 100 people that actually watch this.
Love you guys.
We do love you. Eric's a prospect. I'm going to be able to give you insight from what I see as my experience over the last decade in franchising. But the reality is the majority of franchisees don't have that experience in franchising. So when you're looking for best practices, I would talk with your franchisees and I would talk with your friends who are not franchisees, because him saying, I need to get to the finish line fast, give me the direction, give me clean navigation, that's who your prospects are. Your prospects are looking for something that's simple, not me saying you need 500 pages of content. That's garbage. The reality is, my opinion does not matter. Data is what matters. And if us as a franchise industry start evaluating data, we're going to be able to build more robust websites, more robust plans, and we'll be able to chip away at what actually works to get deals done. That is caring. That is really, really caring about what is the end goal. And if you have a development guy on your team right now that's coming to you as a CEO and saying, let's try something new, that's what you want to hear out of your development guy. That is how you know that they care.
Yeah, no, I think that totally makes sense. And more importantly, we now have him on tape saying his opinion doesn't matter.
Oh,
which
crap.
is the most important thing.
Crap.
So I'd say that brings the Weekly Sizzle to a close this week.
Hey, and before we go, happy Mother's Day to all those moms out there.
Love you, Mom.
And all those mothers out there, don't forget to look at your next franchise opportunity. I'm not buying it for you, but maybe Eric will. See you next week.
Bye. Hello. Welcome
Morning.
to another Weekly Sizzle.
That was bad.
Yeah.
Start over.
All right. Still the reigning champ.
Interesting conversation. Nope, that's not good either. Yesterday was